Hey everyone, Justin Crumley here with the Cujo Productions channel. Welcome to uh, a new segment on my channel that I'm going to be calling Sports and Stuff. And the little logo is going to pop up here, whatever I can come up with. So, if you guys watched my last video where I talked about making my comeback, I had expressed interest in wanting to talk about sports again. And wouldn't you know it, something for me to talk about finally came up. I've actually been meaning to make this video for a while now, and things have just kept coming up as far as like the story, and things have constantly been changing as far as like new reports and whatnot. So I kind of wanted to wait for a little bit until I felt like it was necessary to take in everything and just kind of give my general thoughts on it, my opinions. Anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest. I could have probably summed up this entire Dylan Larkin, Steve Yzerman, Detroit Red Wings, like this. I could have summed up this whole thing with this.
I cannot make any guarantees or did not make any guarantees that that request could or would be met.
Never a fun time when you miss the playoffs, but especially in this fashion and kind of being here again. So today's not a pleasant day around the rink, that's for sure.
Alright, guys, jokes aside. Dylan Larkin requested a trade from the Detroit Red Wings about a week or two after the season ended. I think it feels like it was like right after the Stanley Cup Finals when Carolina had beat Vegas. Dylan Larkin had surprised all of us. I don't think any of us saw this coming, that he had requested a trade. Now, I do remember before that, Yzerman and McClellan talking about some changes were going to be made to the Red Wings, and I thought that meant that they were gonna maybe like trade Lucas Raymond or shop him on the market. I didn't think that like Larkin would be the one that would try to get himself out of here. And to be fair, it isn't Yzerman who's shopping Larkin around. Larkin's the one who requested a trade. And Yzerman came out this past weekend and basically confirmed all this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's kind of go from the beginning. Dylan Larkin requested a trade, and his camp initially submitted three teams. It was Vegas, Minnesota, and Florida. I guess Yzerman had reached back with Larkin's camp and asked to expand his list a little bit, to which Larkin did. And I believe Utah's name was coming up in trade talks. Dallas's name has also come up in possible trade talks for Dylan Larkin. So I don't know if Dallas and Utah were two teams that maybe he added to his list. After Florida made the trade for Brady Tkachuk, I think we can all assume that Florida is probably not going to make a trade for Dylan Larkin. And a lot of reports, a lot of things I kept seeing on like Instagram and Facebook and everything was that Minnesota was kind of the favorites to land Dylan Larkin, at least until Steve Yzerman came out with this press conference over the weekend. Florida apparently did make an offer. We never found out what the offer was, the details of it. I had heard Anton Lundell's name had been floated around, but I tend to doubt that, considering apparently Ottawa had also wanted him for Brady Tkachuk, but Florida didn't want to give him up. So I do tend to doubt that Lundell's name was coming up as far as like an offer goes, but who knows? The offer was never made public, and I guess we'll never know. this to me kind of puts Yzerman in an interesting spot. Now, he has said that he would explore trade options, and he wanted to get the quote unquote best deal that he could for Dylan Larkin. And I think it's also important to note that Larkin has 5 years left on his contract, so Yzerman really doesn't have to trade him if he doesn't want to. That being said, I don't think it would be a very good idea to hold on to Larkin after he specifically requested a trade. And that leads me to the press conference over the weekend. Yzerman came out this weekend and said there's no guarantees that he's going to be able to adhere to Larkin's request. There's no guarantee that he won't adhere to it. He kind of did that GM thing where he didn't really say yes or no for sure that he would trade Larkin. More or less, he just confirmed that Larkin did request a trade. Larkin did give him a short list of 3 teams that he wanted to go to. And I tend to think that Yzerman was kind of doing just bravado or maybe like pumping his chest out, doing a little GM talk. But he has before kept guys almost, maybe not against their will, but there's Jonathan Drouin, there's Martin St. Louis. Both guys did not get along with him when they were in Tampa Bay, and they wanted out. Yzerman made it happen. So I tend to think that Larkin's situation will probably play out a little similar. Yzerman says that, he's got 5 years on his contract. No guarantees can be made. All of that really is true, but I don't know. I can't see, Steve Yzerman forcing Larkin to play against his will, but who knows? We'll see. I really don't think that's a good idea myself. I don't think it'd be a good idea to come back to the table and tell Larkin, you need to come back and play for this team. They're too bad. You're not getting traded even though you want to. Because it comes down to, are you really going to not only ask this guy to come back and play for you, he's the captain of your team. You're going to ask this guy to remain as your captain after he wanted out? It's not a good situation either way. I don't think keeping him is a good idea. There's also the chance that he sits out and he's the most expensive suit on the bench. I know that's also been floated around, and there's, a genuine possibility that happens, and that could not send a good message to free agency and free agents. We're kind of entering this era in the NHL where the players are kind of taking more or less of their own power back. They're trying to basically dictate where they're going to go. And to an extent, I can kind of see why Yzerman would be a little bit hesitant to be like, oh yes, I'm going to trade Larkin. Larkin did sign a long-term contract. He is the captain. But I will say this. Yzerman doesn't get a pass, because I do firmly think if you really don't think you can get a good trade for Larkin, I just completely disagree. Larkin is a two-way center. He's making $8.7 million a year, which as the cap goes up, that's only going to be more and more of a bargain down the road. He's a really good second-line center. We saw that in the Olympics. So the idea that Larkin is not going to attract a high price tag, I just don't buy that. Centers are seemingly at a premium right now. And a two-way center who can play both on the power play and on the PK, I think there's some value there. So the idea that Yzerman can't get a deal done, I think is just ridiculous. I think a lot of, when he was asked about Larkin, I think he wanted to focus more on the draft, which is why he said, I can't make any guarantees. Or at least that's what I hope, because at the end of the day, I really don't think it would be a good idea to keep Larkin against his will. I think trading him is the better option. I don't buy that you're not going to be able to find a suitable trade partner. I think a deal will get done. I think something will happen. Whether it's during the summer, during the off season, which is when I hope something happens. I'd like to see. I think the best thing to do right now would be to trade Larkin, maybe even trade DeBrincat too, get a little bit younger, call up some of these guys from the AHL just to kind of see what you got. You might as well. If you're going to have another youth movement, another rebuild on top of the rebuild, you might as well call up some AHL talent, I think. I think it only just makes a lot of sense from here, but who knows? I'm not the GM of the Red Wings, and honestly, at this moment in time, I'm glad I'm not. This whole thing is kind of just a bad sports soap opera. You know, you have a player in Larkin who is disgruntled and he wants out. And even though I've been kind of poking fun at him a little bit, him and Yzerman, I think Larkin has earned the right to want to go somewhere else. He's been a part of this team for, I think, 11 years now, 10 years. He's been the captain for 5 years, so not super long. I think he's earned the right to go play for another team and get a little bit more of some playoff hockey experience and to chase a cup. I'm not going to demonize Larkin for wanting to do that. I'm also not going to really come down hard on Yzerman either because I think he's trying to do what's best for the Red Wings. But at the end of the day, even I'm sitting here kind of scratching my head going, what's the plan here, dude? What is the new Yzer plan here, Yzerman? Because we're running out of patience here. We want playoff hockey. We want to see the Red Wings in the playoffs, and the fact that it still has not happened yet is just nothing short of ridiculous. All right, guys, before I go, I do want to give a bit of a shout out to the PWHL Detroit team. They recently got Hillary Knight in a trade and then signed her to I think it was like a 2 or 3 year extension. So that was really cool. Hillary Knight is easily one of, if not the most famous women's American hockey player. A for sure ticket to the Hockey Hall of Fame one day, and it's really cool to have her on the PWHL Detroit team, and I do really hope they get a name soon because honestly, calling them PWHL Detroit's gonna get kind of lame after a while. So I hope they take the Vipers name because it would be really cool to have the Vipers, the Pistons, and the Red Wings in the same building again. The 90s kid in me just absolutely loves that idea. So, yeah, low-key, I hope they kind of take the Vipers. But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to give them a little shout-out before I logged off for this video. What are your guys' thoughts on the whole Dylan Larkin, Steve Yzerman situation? Are you with me? You don't think Yzerman should sit on this and force Larkin to come back? Are you in the... I'm not going to ask you guys, are you Team Larkin or Team Yzerman? I'm going to ask you guys, do you think trading Larkin is the better option? Do you think keeping him is the better option? Which side do you fall on? Whatever it is, let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, till next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is Cujo Productions saying, stay awesome.